To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave dare not go, to right the unrightable wrong, to love pure and chaste from afar, to try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable star. This is my quest, to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to fight for the right without question or pause, to be willing to march into hell for a heavenly cause. And I know if I'll only be true to this glorious quest, that the world will lie peaceful and calm when I'm laid to my rest. And the world will be better for this, that one man scorned and covered with scars still strove with his last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable star. That one man scorned and covered with scars still strove with his last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable stars. The unreachable stars.
Please welcome Kevin Tetzlaff, Chair of the SDSU Foundation's Council of Trustees.
Good evening. I'm Kevin Tetzlaff, a 1991 SDSU graduate. It's a genuine honor and very humbling to be asked to serve as your chair. However, they definitely left out the part that it might involve following something like that. Let's give another round of applause to the choir and Dr. Laura Little. Now, take a minute and think about what we just watched and heard. Students from all across the state, region, and country, 160 different voices, blended together to make such an amazing sound. When you hear some of these lyrics sung, to dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to reach the unreachable star, and the world will be better for this. It takes you from here to here. It lifts you up. Now, think about the generosity that is directed toward this university. Each year, roughly 10,000 donors converge to grow and strengthen this university. Since the start of our previous campaign, It Starts with State in 2007, through the Bold and Blue campaign, which ended 1 year ago, and up until today. During that span of 17 years, donors have committed more than $1.1 billion. Let that sink in. 17 years, nearly 53,000 different donors, $1.1 billion to our beloved university. That has taken us from here to here. It's lifted up this university. That is why we gather each spring to reflect and celebrate the unbelievable level of philanthropy. Look around the audience and the images projected on the screens. In this space made possible by donors, we are surrounded by some of the most generous benefactors, individuals, families, companies, alumni, non-alums, from all around the state, region, and country. Like those 160 performers that started our night, each choir member, talented in their own right, yet downright powerful when they all come together. As donors, we make an impact through our giving. When thousands of us give, it becomes transformational. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for all that you do for South Dakota State University. To guide us through the next 60 minutes to recognize this year's Lifetime Giving honorees and our Philanthropic Family of the Year, please welcome the leaders of the Alumni Association and Foundation, Andy Foberg and Steve Erpenbach.
Our purpose tonight is to celebrate the greatness of South Dakota State University. Greatness that's made possible by the philanthropic spirit of alumni and friends. You've already witnessed it. Depending on how you got here today, you passed by the Poet Bioproducts Center or the McCrory Gardens Education and Visitor Center or Dana J. Dykehouse Stadium or the Sanford Jackrabbit Athletic Complex or First Bank and Trust Arena. Every one of those was done entirely or in part by gifts from donors. Then you walked inside this building, the Oscar Larson Performing Arts Center, an addition completed 6 years ago through the generosity of the Dale and Pat Larson family and 360 other donors. And if you caught a ride from your parking spot to in one of the golf carts, you were being driven by a member of our Hobo Day Committee. The Hobo Day tradition was a beneficiary of a $500,000 gift this past year from Jim and Julie Higgins.
Then you saw the opening with the choir. Dr. Diddle is the Paul E. and Doris J. Moriarty Endowed Professor of Choral Activities, thanks to their $1 million gift 3 years ago. And the young man featured in the opening, Steiger Manson, is a sophomore from Center Point, Iowa. He is the recipient of one of the premier scholarships provided thanks to the generosity of Lynn Seppala, a 1968 graduate now living in California. And while most of our choir members are not music majors, the vast majority receive scholarships. And the music majors are most likely benefiting from a scholarship made possible by Woodbine Productions, a performance series started in 2006 to bring national and international acts here. An anonymous donor provides 100% of the cost of the talent and production. That allows all ticket proceeds to be used for music scholarships.
So that is how philanthropy impacts South Dakota State. It provides the margin of excellence. It's because of tens of thousands of donors from all over the country, from different generations, different walks of life, with different passions. But together, they have been weaved together into this powerful tapestry of generosity that has fueled our university's growth. Tonight, we are honoring 470 new Lifetime Giving Society members. You have seen their names and faces throughout the reception. Now we will share more about their collective impact.
The names you have seen on the screen represent those new to the SDSU Associates Society. It is our largest society, recognizing total commitments between $25,000 and $50,000. Over these past 2 years, 151 donors have reached that threshold. We are fortunate to have 822 total donors in this category. Please give these members a round of applause. Distinguished University benefactors have lifetime commitments between $50,000 and $100,000. The 129 new members in this society represent both longtime supporters and those that are just starting their philanthropic journey at SDSU. Thank you. Jason and Brandy Ho, Ruth Atkinson and James Alexander, American International Group Incorporated, Ronald Amundsen and Maria Brandel, Associated Milk Producers Incorporated, David and Judy Bartling, Bradley and Laura Bass, John and Wendy Baumiller, Beef Bucks Incorporated, David Bender,
Brady and Heidi Birch, Raj Bhandari and Shraddha Paudel, Jim and Kathy Boer, Christopher and Megan Brown, Bussy Plumbing and Heating and Air Conditioning, Zachary and Sarah Carter, Justin and Beth Clark, the F.L. Clarkson Family Foundation, Gloria Craig, and Dakota Beverage Company.
Dakota Iron LLC, Rod DeHaven and Tammy Frazier, Larry and Lois Dennison, Jason and Jody Devine, Jeffrey and Pamela Donahoe, James and Virginia Duffy, Catherine Earhart, Craig and Gail Eichstad, Elizabeth Firestone Graham Foundation, Dan and Keely Elsasser,
Katrina Phelan and J.J. Thompson, Marnie Faber, Leif Fjellstead, Charles Foss, Randy and Cindy Frederick, Richard Freeman, Colleen Clancy Fry, Ned and Janie Gavlik, Alan and Sue Giddings, Justin and Kim Gray.
Chad Gruss, Roger and Cynthia Hansen, Dan and Jessica Hansen, Lynette Hardy, Mark Hayes, Sharon Helmke, Steve Hildebrand and Mike Pierce, Howard and Joanne Hillman, James and Sally Hoke, Larry and Darlene Hoffman,
Eric and Mona Holman, Tom and Shar Honkamp, Rich Howard, John and Brenda Jansen, Lisa Jatan, William and Margie Jensen, Diane Johnston, Crystal Canigator, Kiewit Engineering Group, Becky Sheldon.
Mark and Marcia Kozel, Linda Kropensky, Lonnie Cook, Jeff and Linda Kuhn, Amber and Paul Langner, John and Mary Laverty, Lee Lieferman and Catherine Woods, Leprino Foods, Gary and Karna Lindner, Diane Ludgate Love,
Jacob and Maria Luders, Greg and Mary Boyd Madsen, Ralph and Gail Matz, Annette Anderson Meeks, Glenn Meyer, Darwin Dockmeyer, Thomas and Paula Minert, Paul and Liz Middlestadt, Charles and Luella Moe, Maximus Mulhauser.
Brian and Jamie Munt, Eswari and Kay Muthu, Nafsker Family Foundation, John and Kelly Neal, Barry and Heather Nelson, the Niederauer family, Glenn and Mary Nordmark, Derry and Deborah Pearson, Susan Peterson, Rodney and Lisa Pearson,
Raytheon Company, Tim and Mary Reed, Roger and Pam Ricks, Mary Rauber, Dwayne and Helen Rolog, Slate Ronning, Robert and Madeline Rose, Rosemary Rounds, Kenneth and Mary Margaret Rowan, Dwayne and Shirley Rickus,
Linda Rickus, BJ Schaefbauer, Brandy Schaefbauer, Eugene and Barbara Schaefer, Security Bank, Todd Sheldon, Sioux Falls Shields, Travis and Jenny Starks, Greg and Catherine Stadronsky, Tim and Jean Steele,
Tyler and Joni Stowater, Curtis Swanhorse, Josh and Amanda Taveldi, Bob and Karen Taller, Lori Tiedemann, James Tucksher, Toby Euchre and Laura Hasselquist, Scott and Diane Underwood, Ken and Judy Volley, Valor Partners Foundation,
Viaflex, Arlen Wallum, Becca and Bob Wittrell, Andrew Wellborn, Joshua Westwick, Dr. Chris and Jackie Whalen, Jeffrey and Macy Wilbur, Wayne and Jolene Brecky Williamson. Thank you to our distinguished university benefactors.
The Distinguished University Patrons recognizes commitments between $100,000 and $250,000. The newest members join over 450 others in this Lifetime Giving Society. John and Kathy Allen, Alpma, USA. Jim and Joyce Bakadal, Brad and Nina Berg, Cody and Shannon Bozade, Trent and Nicole Bruce, David and Susan Carlisle, Chip Carlson III, Central Bank of Brookings, Jane Christman,
Edward and Carol Krausier, Dakota Homestead Title Insurance, Leonard and Joanne Danke, Stephen and Mary Day, Erica and Shane DeBoer, Sharon Lore Devaney, Direct Companies, Michael DeTheo, Craig and Bonnie Dibidall, EAPC Architects Engineers,
Einspar Auto Plaza, Denny and Janet Everson, Betty and Mike Fetty, Larry and Jan Fieldos, Brendan and Rosemarie Foley, David and Lori Freemark family, the Gertrude E. Skelly Charitable Foundation, Patrick Guillaume, Linda Grun, and Francis G. Hafferkamp.
Halliburton Foundation Incorporated, Larry and Susan Hamry, Gary and Kathy Hansen, Nancy Hildebrand, Wallace and Mary Hoff, Nancy Hoffart, James and Rosa Iverson, John Iverson, Don and Helen Jacobson, Dale and Diane Jans,
David and Norma Johnson, Galen and Ann Jordry, Phyllis and Donald Joyce, Norman and Bobby Calamane, David and Sue Karolsak, Nancy Kingston, Ardell Kleinsasser, David Knowlton, Milt Knutson, and Thomas and Patricia Knutson.
Paul and Brooke Kennecke, Tim and Corey Krominga, David and Lavon Kurtz, Craig Larson, James and Kathy Leduc, Bruce and Isla Lushbaugh, Tom and Jeannie Manzer, John and Diane Maines, Jean and Dolores Metzger, Terry and Amy Nemitz,
Tracy and Darylyn Odegaard, Doug Olson, Tom and Michelle Olson, Perry Olson, Dave Kim Overby, Rodney and Ruth Perry, Nancy Peterson and Richard Chun, Richard Phillips, Russell and Ginger Peets, Liz Rezek.
Mia Ricci, Thomas and Barbara Roberts, Greg and Pam Sands, Vernon and Ruth Schaefer, Chris and Molly Schenkel, Northwestern Mutual, Daniel and Nancy Scholl, Donald Schroeder, Phil Haskett and Janet Simonich, Jessica and John Snedeker, Larry and Linda Stadgel,
Clark Thompson, Bernice Thorstensen, Dorothy Meyer Travnicek and Edward Travnicek, Della and Craig Cheddar, Jerry and Nancy Thunheim, Dennis and Jeannie Unkenholtz, Tim Vanderham, Richard and Catherine Wallstrom, Jim and Vanita Winterbore. Thank you to our distinguished university patrons.
The William M. Griffith Society honors donors for lifetime giving between $250,000 to $500,000. There are 41 additions to this society, joining 182 that have previously reached this level of giving. This group has provided support to some of our oldest and most established programs, from the Pride of the Dakotas, Hilton M. Briggs Library, the South Dakota Art Museum, McCrory Gardens, undergraduate research and scholarships, to some of our newer additions and innovations to campus. Those include gifts for a student emergency fund, a travel experience for the Mike Huther Public Service Academy, an endowed chair honoring longtime faculty member Rick Wallstrom, an endowment to build awareness for suicide prevention.
Those donors include Lynn Diane Anderson, Don Bairns, Glenn and Catherine Blumhart, Dwayne and Bonnie Bly, Jeff and Tammy Broyne, Christensen Farms, Lester and Charlotte Clark, Kay Caulfield Pearson, Royce Crane, Cubby Sports Bar and Grill, and Gus and Donna Theodosopoulos.
Chuck and Amy Dirtle, Jane Dvorak, Charles and Linda Elhoff, Sandra and Dennis Ellingson, Robert and Helen Gales, Lillian Greenbaum, Henry Carlson Construction, Roger Hexum, Terry and Priscilla Hill, Gary Janis,
David Jensen, Han and BJ Kim, Steve Schwanke and Rebecca Kurtz Schwanke, Michael Leinen, Louis Drug, Ralph Lindner, the Louis P. Wintrode Autism Foundation. Mark and Julie Mooney, Joseph and Karen Morse, and Native Microbials.
Bruce Nearhood and Kim Hildebrand Nearhood. Peter Olson, Ottertail Power Company. Professional Ag Marketing. Erica and Brandon Shopacum. Dave and Barb Schmidt. Chuck and Dory Sendelbach. Paul and Jill Sova. Jerry Stiglmeyer. Karen Stuck. Linda and Larry Youngren. Thank you all.
The Ethel Austin Martin Society is comprised of donors with giving and commitments between $500,000 and $1 million. With these 22 new members, there are now 123 in this select group. At this level, we begin to see different ways that donors make their commitments: a greater use of appreciated assets, charitable remainder trusts, and estate planning. Because of this group, we now have the Gerald T. Moriarty softball field, a growing endowment to support the Hobo Day tradition, a new home for our nursing students in Rapid City. The Monument West River Health Science Center opens this fall. 6 endowed scholarships in the Jerome J. Lohr College of Engineering. Greater support for our women's and our men's basketball programs. More financial support for the livestock judging team, investments in research, and more and bigger scholarships to offer students.
Ronald and Susan Alverson. Lyle and Patricia Anderson. Gayland and Carolyn Bender. CBS Bioplatforms Incorporated. CoBank. Corey and Leanne Ike. Steve and Michelle Erpenbach. Robert and Betty Florsheim. Dan and Regine G. General Mills. Wayne Hansen.
James and Sandra Hemd. Jim and Julie Higgins. Monument Health. Kevin and Cynthia Moriarty. Deborah Muller. Tim Ostermeyer. Randall and Sharon Ostrat. Daryl Swanhorst. The First National Bank in Sioux Falls. Alan and Rebecca Wolf. Pam and Merritt Warren. Please thank you. Please thank them.
In 2012, we introduced our first philanthropic family of the year, the Pat and Dale Larson family. Please join me in welcoming President Barry Dunn to introduce this year's honored family.
If I ask you what words or phrase comes to mind that you associate with South Dakota State University, what would you say? I hope or assume one would say academic excellence. Some others, though, might be vibrant, growing, life-changing, relationships, and of course, champions. One of mine would be family. For the family that accompanies prospective students on a campus visit. For those same family members moving their son or daughter into the residence halls as a freshman. Families that come to this building to watch recitals and performances by their sons and daughters. We have some parents of choir members here with us tonight. Others are watching on live stream. Families that gather at tailgating, that sit in the stands and bleachers to support their sons or daughters that are among our 500 plus student athletes. Families are here for honors college medallion ceremonies, white coat ceremonies, and scholarship banquets. And a week from now, family members will fill First Bank and Trust Arena 3 times for commencement as their son and daughter, or grandson or granddaughter, receives their degree. Philanthropy is also very connected to family. It's a way families choose to honor a loved one or give back to a university that gave them so much, to carry on a legacy, or to start a new one. That was the motivation behind the idea to create the Philanthropic Family of the Year Award in 2012. Since then, we have recognized 12 different families for their philanthropy and to celebrate the example they set to inspire others. Each of our past honorees has had a compelling story, unique, personal, and impactful. This year's honoree is no exception. It is my privilege to announce the Wintrode family as our 2025 Philanthropic Family of the Year. Paul and Maria Wintrode are here with their 2 beautiful sons, Lucas and Eric. They are representing the family, especially Paul's parents, Maurice and Muriel, and his uncle and aunt, Virgil and Joe. This family has had a profound impact on SDSU and our students, and that will continue because of the investments they have made. Please enjoy their story.
Our story begins here, Parker, South Dakota, home to South Dakota's oldest county fair, a progressive community of 1,200. More than a century ago, Harry and Elizabeth Wintrode were raising their 11 children here. It was a hard scrabble life. They persevered through the grasshoppers, dust storms, and drought. Their father died early in the Depression years, leaving their mother with no income and 7 children still at home. Her only recourse was to turn to county welfare. Eventually, 2 of her 3 sons, Virgil and Maurice, found their way to South Dakota State. Virgil was first.
I accepted any kind of work I could get in order to pay my board, room, tuition, and other expenses.
Virgil gave what money he could to help his mom. Bright and outgoing. His grades didn't reflect that, though it would later inspire his philanthropy. He graduated in 1941, participated in the European theater in World War II, and later earned his master's from the University of Denver. It was there he'd meet his future wife, Josephine, affectionately known as Joe. Maurice followed his brother to Brookings. He started at SDSC in 1941. His school was interrupted by World War II. Maurice quit college, worked at a defense plant in Chicago. He entered the Army. Maurice was captured in a preliminary fight to the Battle of the Bulge. He was a prisoner of war in Stalag 4 for 6 months. He lost over 1/3 of his body weight. He was highly decorated for his military service. Relying on the GI Bill, he returned to South Dakota State, earned his bachelor's degree, then his master's in public administration from New York University in 1949. There, he met his future wife, Muriel Frances Jackson. The Wintrode brothers thrived professionally. Virgil lived and worked abroad, serving governments and agencies in Japan, Iraq, and Morocco. Joe taught American children at each stop. Virgil had an entrepreneurial spirit, accumulating a diverse set of business ventures. Maurice joined his older brother in buying some Florida land. He had a career in research and management, retiring as an assistant budget director for the state of Connecticut. In the early 90s, Maurice and Muriel created a $50,000 endowment. They provided 2 scholarships, one for music and one for Parker High School graduates. Muriel, Maurice wrote, was fully supportive of our scholarship programs, even though she is a Brooklyn girl. Virgil and Joe also focused on scholarships. And, recalling Virgil's financial and academic struggles, they wanted scholarships to help the underdog. Their sister, Vivian, also established a scholarship, even though she wasn't an alum. In 2007, the Wintrode Student Success Center was launched. Immediately, 1,100 students would access the mentoring service. It's grown nearly 4-fold. Maura Wahlberg, a 2024 animal science graduate from White River, South Dakota, a town of 600, is one of those whose lives was impacted. She was the first in her family to attend college.
I did a tour with my dad and we were just blown away by campus. So when I first came to campus, I really struggled academically. I wasn't sure how to build a support system that I needed. I had friends on campus, but I just wanted my mom. But going into my sophomore year, I ended up going into academic probation. I had to take some classes through the Wintrode Student Success Center and Opportunity Program, and I think that's when things really started turning around. When you start struggling academically and your grades take a hit, I don't think people understand how much it affects people's confidence, how much it truly matters that there's a program on campus that supports students in the way that they do.
Today, she's a program coordinator in veterinary and biomedical sciences at SDSU, recruiting and helping guide students through the rigors of becoming a veterinarian. Joe passed away in 1997. We lost Virgil in 2009. Maurice passed in 2014, 2 years after Muriel. That leads us to the next generation. Paul Wintrode, the son of Maurice and Muriel, the nephew of Virgil and Joe. Paul's family was drawn to SDSU, not by degree, but by family. Paul and his wife Maria met in 1998, marrying 3 years later. In 2004, they welcomed their first son, Lucas. The work of settling his father and uncle's estates brought Paul to campus. Lucas had been diagnosed with autism before age 3. Paul took note of how people reacted to Lucas and his disability. A mix of concern and puzzlement, he says. That, as it turns out, inspired their investment in autism studies. Paul and Maria saw a need for greater awareness, education, and support.
One of the reasons that Paul and Maria wanted to start this program at SDSU is they noticed a dearth with respect to expertise in the Midwest. They wanted to equip teachers, citizens, professors on campus, and society as a whole to be able to recognize what is autism, to have greater respect for the individual life experience of anyone, and to know how to navigate and address some of the opportunities that we have from an education standpoint.
They wanted to do something about that. The Lucas P. Wintrode Autism Support Services offers individualized coaching, academic assistance, social development, and career readiness. 12 peer mentors are serving 32 students. The family has committed an endowed position in autism studies that bears Lucas's name. As Maria says, people spend so much time trying to force kids like Lucas into our world. It's time to step into their world instead.
And that's the ultimate goal of the Lucas P. Wintrode Autism Support Services, is to provide wraparound services to ensure an equitable learning opportunity and social experience for someone here at SDSU. What we're seeing that is definitely a brag point is that currently we have 100% retention rate of every student who has entered in to the Lucas P. Wintrode Autism Support Services. The long-term vision is for SDSU to become the college of choice for any student who's on the autistic spectrum. Secondly, it's to integrate our services within the K-12 world so that students who receive the supports that they need in K-12 don't have to stop when they go to college.
Combined, the family has given nearly $7 million to SDSU, providing more than 500 scholarships, resulting in more than 4,500 students using the Wintrode Center last year alone, and underwriting the program to bring hope to families touched by autism.
While I never had the opportunity to know Virgil, Joe, Maurice, and Muriel, I have worked extensively with Paul, Maria, Eric, and Lucas, and what I'm struck by is their shared passion and motivation for philanthropy. They were all guided by their own personal experiences, by the challenges they themselves encountered, showed resilience and grit through it all, and decided they wanted to make life better for others.
So we are honored to have Paul and Maria Wintrode and their sons, Lucas and Eric, with us tonight to accept it on behalf of the family. Thank you for being here. The Stephen F. Briggs Society recognizes donors with giving between $1 million and $2.5 million. There are 19 donors that have reached this level since 2023. Agtegra is a farmer-owned cooperative headquartered in Aberdeen. The company provided one of the major gifts for the Raven Precision Agriculture Center and was one of the early supporters of the new Agricultural Leadership Institute, which strives to prepare the next generation of innovators and leaders in agriculture. Brent Bargman ran track and cross country as an undergraduate. Rod DeHaven, the current head coach of SDSU's track and field program, was a teammate and roommate of Brent, who made the lead gift to make DeHaven's position the first endowed coaching position at SDSU. Brent's successful career in technology led him to provide impactful support for the Lower College of Engineering as well.
Tom and Kay Becker chose programs with personal meaning to them when designating their estate gift. It includes an endowed scholarship in honor of Kay's father, Ernest Huggins, the SDSU dance team, where their daughter Elise excelled during her time here, and engineering. Tom and Kay enjoy attending SDSU athletic performance and performing arts events. Jerome and Elaine Gary have completed their estate plans with Elaine's major, civil engineering, as one of the prime beneficiaries. They are also supporting SDSU football. Jerome was a 3-time letter winner for the Jacks in the late 1970s.
Keith and Irene Gehring have a wide range of areas that they support at SDSU, from Alpha Gamma Rho and livestock judging to athletics. In finalizing their estate plan, they leaned into endowed scholarships. Keith is a former chair of the Alumni Association. Bob and Karen Hemry had a combined 78 years in public education. Both earned their undergraduate degree at Dakota State. It was Bob's gratitude for his master's from SDSU that led them to choose this university as the major beneficiary of their estate plan. Their future and current giving focus is on the new elementary education degree at SDSU.
Mike and Cindy Huther made a major gift to the Avera Health and Science Center over a decade ago in recognition of Cindy's degree in medical lab science. This past year, they led the way to create the Mike Huther Public Service Academy at SDSU. Mike was Students Association president as an undergraduate, and he served as mayor of Sioux Falls from 2010 to 2018. So public service has been a continuum in his entire adult life. Dan and Michelle Kemp had a combined 72 years of service at SDSU. They chose to give back to the university through their estate plan that created the Kemp Endowed Professor in Honors Mathematics, which Dan taught for 43 and a half years. They also established an endowed scholarship in mathematics, a fund in support of visiting chamber musicians, along with support from McCrory Gardens and the Art Museum.
Steve Quisted was a letter winner for the SDSU football team. He has established a nutrition fund that will support the first registered dietitian to serve Jackrabbit Athletics. Steve also started a scholarship in honor of his late mother, Sharon, who was a dietitian. Mark and Susan Letty have supported their respective majors, economics and nursing. They made a significant gift to benefit the College of Nursing in 2023. Mark served on the foundation board in the early 2000s. Susan is a current member of the foundation's Board of Governors.
Carrie and John McNellis has been a longtime supporter of civil engineering, his major at SDSU. He has worked through his estate plan to provide a significant named scholarship for future civil engineers. Dave and Pat Meyer are not SDSU alums, but they have been heavily involved with the university since moving to Brookings in 1986. Pat continues to serve on the Art Museum board, and they are significant benefactors there. They also made a leadership gift to help with the expansion of the Human Anatomy Laboratory in Berg Agriculture Hall.
Millborn Seeds is a grass seed specialist that started as a fledgling company in the 1980s, and its footprint now stretches into Canada. Millborn provided the first lead gift to help SDSU launch the Agricultural Leadership Institute. They also made a gift toward the renovation of First Bank and Trust Arena. Mills Construction and owners Randy and Stacy Hansen have been supportive of scholarships and Jackrabbit Athletics, but perhaps their most impactful investment has been to support aviation education, one of SDSU's fastest growing programs.
Clifford P. Netsch included 7 philanthropic organizations in his estate plan. SDSU was fortunate to be one of them, and the proceeds of land in Brookings County gifted to SDSU will provide in excess of $1.5 million for scholarships. Fred and Ardeen Ritterhouse are among SDSU's longest tenured donors, primarily focusing their giving on civil and environmental engineering, athletics, and the School of Performing Arts. They have scholarships that benefit engineering and athletics. Fred taught at SDSU for 7 years before a long career at Banner Associates. Ardeen worked as a nurse.
Greg and Janet Schmeeding have honored their parents through a portion of their giving to SDSU. They supported the Thompson Center to honor Greg's father, Orv, who was a leader in the area of counseling at SDSU. They also have a nursing scholarship in the name of his mom, Trudy. They have established a scholarship to honor Janet's father, Raymond Benson. The Schmeeding family was recognized as our Philanthropic Family of the Year in 2022. Our family theme continues with Jeff and Michelle Thuey. They have been strong donors to Jackrabbit athletics, especially football. Jeff played defensive end for the Jacks in the early 1990s. Now their son Jack is a quarterback for the current Jackrabbit team.
Mark and Nancy Wallstrom have strong family ties to SDSU, with Mark's father, Rick, as a respected professor in swine production. They are creating their legacy by reinforcing their scholarship endowments through an estate plan, with preference to graduates of Sioux Falls, Washington High School. Mark serves on the Foundation's Board of Governors. Please recognize the contributions of these members.
The Mildred Stoker White Society recognizes donors that have committed between $2.5 million to $5 million to SDSU. Milo and Lillian Hellickson came to SDSU in the late 1960s with the intention of making it a brief stay. They never left, and we're fortunate for that. They are among the most passionate supporters of SDSU athletics. They have created endowed scholarships in both men's and women's basketball. They supported the renovation of First Bank and Trust Arena, and they are generous donors to the annual Jackrabbit Athletic Scholarship Auction. Milo and Lillian were on the cabinet of the Bold and Blue Comprehensive Campaign. The John T. Vikurovich Foundation has been the champion of nursing students in Western South Dakota. The founder, John Vikurovich, shared his vision to, quote, make a piece of the world a better place. They have done that for our nursing program. The Vikurovich Foundation supports scholarships for Rapid City-based nursing students and the Native American Nursing Education Center.
Gary and Teresa Lemmy have 5 degrees from SDSU between them. Both have doctorates in agronomy. A major focus for them has been the Lemmy Research Award within the College of Agriculture, Food, and Environmental Sciences. They have reinforced their ongoing support through a significant estate plan. Patrick and Gail McAllister finalized their estate plan that will create scholarships and an endowed professorship in agricultural and cooperative economics, which was Patrick's area of study at SDSU. They are also impacting McCrory Gardens, honoring Gail's background in horticulture and their Oregon-based orchard, while also creating a fund for student engagement in agribusiness as part of their plan. The McAllisters are looking forward to beginning their impact long before their legacy is realized.
Jim and Dorothy Morgan have focused their major giving on 2 areas of passion: engineering, where Jim earned his degree in electrical engineering and had a very prestigious career with Daktronics, serving as president and CEO until 2013. And the Art Museum. Dorothy is a professional artist and received her degree in the fine arts from SDSU. They are strong supporters of the Van D. and Barbara B. Fishback Honors College. Jim served on the Board of Regents, and he is currently on the Council of Trustees. Roberta Olson served as Dean of the College of Nursing for 20 years. It had always been a dream of hers to have the Dean of Nursing position endowed. Roberta made that happen single-handedly. The first holder of the Roberta K. Olson Endowed Dean is Mary Ann Krogh, who was a student when Dr. Olson was Dean. Roberta has also established 4 scholarship endowments. She serves on the Foundation's Board of Governors.
Barbara Schnell and Gordon Johnson met at a popular Brookings watering hole, and it was not love at first sight. As a son of an SDSU faculty member, Gordon admits he put more emphasis on his music than academics, left campus without a degree, but finished his studies in California. Coincidentally, Barb took her SDSU speech degree and theater credits to pursue her dream in Hollywood. Their life in Los Angeles has been different than their South Dakota childhoods, but SDSU is where they plan to leave their legacy. Support for the Elmer and Roberta Johnson Scholarship in Chemistry, McCrory Gardens, and the School of Performing Arts are among the areas they support. Kim Tyler has served the foundation as board chair and co-chair of the Bold and Blue campaign. She returned to South Dakota after a successful career with the Kellogg Company. She continues with the Council of Trustees. She has a strong passion for athletics and made an estate plan as part of the Bold and Blue campaign.
Gary and Sharon Van Riper are champions for many causes. It starts with their areas of study at South Dakota State. Gary in the College of Pharmacy, where he was also a longtime faculty member. Sharon in the College of Education and Human Sciences. Through their estate, they are creating endowments, including ones for the Art Museum, women's basketball. Last year, they funded the Gary and Sharon Van Riper Endowed Faculty Scholar for Pharmacy Practice. And we have an opportunity to again acknowledge Paul and Maria Wintrode, our new member, as a part of our new members of the Stoker White Society. They have entrusted the university and the leadership within the College of Education and Human Sciences to carry out their vision in the area of autism studies. Let's please thank our new members of the Mildred Stoker White Society.
The Theodore Esther Schultz Society recognizes total giving between $5 million and $10 million. While Jim Hammer had already decided his legacy would be through scholarships for students from T and Harrisburg, Mary Lou, an adopted jackrabbit, was swayed by visits to campus and the amazing people she met at every stop. She decided SDSU deserved her portion of the estate as well. Big fans of the Dairy Bar, Jackrabbit football, the museums, and McCrory Gardens, the Hammers have made gifts to acknowledge the friendly customer service they receive each time they visit. Cal and Mary Hyanga purchased their first 560 acres of farmland in Day County in 1973. After growing their family operation over a half-century, they gifted a portion of their land to the foundation for the benefit of the College of Agriculture, Food, and Environmental Sciences. Their gift created the Calvin and Mary Hyanga Endowed Department Head of Animal Science, an endowed scholarship, and an endowed discretionary fund. When they finalized their gift, they said, "We are glad that we can support students and faculty for the future of agriculture in South Dakota."
Jeffrey Einen is CEO of Michaels Energy, a Wisconsin-based company that's a leader in energy efficiency in the upper Midwest. A mechanical engineering graduate, he has provided current support for students in that field and is growing that through a planned gift. His company also supports STEM activities to bring students in K through 12 to campus to learn more about careers in engineering. Jeff served in the Navy as a submarine fluid systems engineer. Thank you, Jeff, for your service. Bruce Lockery created the endowed dean's position in his home college. The J. Bruce Lockery Endowed Dean of the College of Pharmacy and Allied Health Professions is the 5th endowed dean at SDSU. Bruce also made a major gift to help with the Avera Health and Science Center. Bruce is a member of our Council of Trustees.
Richard and Karen McComish became the first donors to endow a department at SDSU. The McComish Department of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science was created in 2023. Dick and Karen have grown their company, Electrical Consultants, a thriving corporation encompassing over 950 engineers, surveyors, and technical staff around the country. The McComishes have actively recruited SDSU students to address the workforce needs of their expanding business. Karen serves on the Council of Trustees. Please thank these newest members of the Schultz Society. The Jerome J. Lohr Society is named in honor of Jerry Lohr, and recognizes donors that have exceeded $20 million in commitments. It's worth noting that each member of this society is well beyond that $20 million mark. Jerry has chaired or co-chaired each of the 3 comprehensive campaigns at SDSU. He helped set the standard for the culture of giving that exists today. Jerry is in California and unable to join us tonight. It is the first one of these celebrations that he's ever missed. He'll be back in the state next month.
Our last honoree tonight is the 5th member of this most prestigious giving society, Avera Health. The partnership between Avera and SDSU goes back decades. Avera has been a major source for the clinicals that help prepare the next generation of workforce professionals produced at SDSU. They also have a long history of scholarship support, including for the Wakini Initiative that helps support American Indian students. The relationship has never been more important than at 2 very distinct inflection points. 20 years ago, a pharmacy accreditation visit called out the conditions of the facilities, which could have jeopardized SDSU's status for that program going forward if it wasn't addressed. A $15 million lead gift by Avera led to the construction of the Avera Health and Science Center in 2010, giving SDSU nearly 100,000 square feet of premier teaching, lab, and office space. Then, just a few years ago, SDSU was working to address the facility needs of its Sioux Falls programs for nursing and pharmacy. We have prepared students in Sioux Falls in those fields for the past 3 decades, but always moving to different locations, never being under the same roof, and never in a building that SDSU owned. That is all changing now because of Avera. Avera's gifted a building at 33rd in Minnesota, in the heart of the city, and made the lead gift towards the major renovation needed to house our programs in pharmacy, nursing, medical lab sciences, and respiratory care. It will increase the number of graduates that SDSU produces in those areas to meet the critical workforce needs in healthcare. This is what the SDSU Metro Center will look like a year from now, with the Avera Clinical Learning Hub inside. We are joined tonight by Avera leadership, Dr. Ron Place, Dave Fleechek, Mickey Lundeen, Lindsay Myers, Rachel Sherrod. We'd ask them to please stand to be acknowledged. So thank you so much for your leadership and your investments in South Dakota State.
We have just witnessed the largest recognition of new lifetime giving societies in the Foundation's history. It is a result, in large part, to the extraordinary success of the Bold and Blue campaign. It is also a testament to the unwavering loyalty and love that people have for this university. Thank you for being here with us this evening and for your generous support of SDSU students, faculty, and staff. As we started this evening, Steiger and the choir invited us to dream the impossible dream. Your support has brought countless dreams into reality, and indeed, the world is better for this. To close tonight, please welcome back the SDSU Concert Choir under the direction of the Paul E. and Doris J. Moriarty Endowed Professor of Choral Activities, Dr. Laura Diddle.
dancing through life, skimming the surface, gliding where turf is smooth. Life's more painless for the brainless. Why think so hard when it's so soothing? Dancing through life, no need to tough it when you can slough it off as I do. Nothing matters, but knowing nothing matters. It's just life, so keep dancing through. Dancing through life, swaying and sweeping, and always keeping cool. Life is thoughtless when you're thoughtless. Those who don't try, never the truest. Dancing through life, mindless and careless. Make sure you're wearless. Trouble is right. Walls are beating, roads are glancing when you're dancing through Let's go down to the Oscars ballroom. We'll meet there later tonight. We can dance in this life. Find the prettiest girl, give her a whirl. Right on down to the Oscars ballroom. Come on, follow me. You'll be happy to be there. Dancing through life. If only because dust is what we come to. Nothing matters, but knowing nothing matters. It's just life. It's just life. So keep dancing through. Dancing through life. Dancing through